But, that's the excitement of business. You just have to adapt. I'm excited, though, where we're going, because I think we have managed to put together an incredible set of protocols that people, really follow and adhere to at our races. So it's exciting to see it actually working. But I'm looking forward to 2021 and seeing how we continue to develop our operational logistics to rise to the occasion. Sorry.
Nah, you're fine. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Williams. And I do take heed to what you say about adaptability and that being a key characteristic in having and what this global pandemic has showed us, that not only as future attorneys but future professionals, that we have to be able to adapt in unprecedented situations. So thank you for that. Ms. Franklin?
So for me, nothing slowed down. I think I got busier. I was like, oh, okay, so Corona means absolutely nothing. I think for me during this time, why I was significantly busier, and a lot of business attorneys that I've spoken to and that I network with, we kind of all are going through the same pain right now. We believe the downtime of the pandemic has increased the thought of entrepreneurship with a lot of people. So with that comes, well, let me schedule a consultation. Well, let me do this. Well, let me do that. I thought about this business. I want to get an LLC form. Well, I have a business and we've been in business for 10 years. And guess what? We have no trademarks. Now we need trademarks. And so it's like all of these wheels are turning. So they turn to us, and it's just, it's been pretty chaotic. In a good way. I'm never going to complain about maintaining a heavy schedule in the middle of a pandemic. It's definitely a blessing, but it has not stopped anything on my end. I actually need a vacation. I have nowhere to go. I don't care if it's to my grandma's house a couple towns over, but I need a break.
Definitely. I totally understand that, especially with these formative assessments coming up and things of that nature. I mean, we could all use one. So thank you for that.
I don't miss the formative assessments. So
Mr. Matthews.
So I work in tech, and I work for a product that promotes entrepreneurship and automation. So Calendly is a scheduling app. So coming into Calendly, I was told that we'd had a 400% user increase over the last 4 months, as well as we had crossed over and hit over 6 million users. So there was no slowing down for us. It was, you hit the ground running and you go. From more of an onboarding standpoint, I was onboarded at home. My interviews were through Skype. I don't know what my office looks like because it's been closed for months. So they just sent me a laptop and said, go to work. So it's been an adjustment. I don't like working from home. I'll be very transparent about that. I'm an office person. Let me go into the office, sit at my desk, do my work, do what I need to do. So this has been an adjustment to being in my house every single day. But nothing has stopped because of COVID. Just, in the house, working harder than ever for this automated scheduling company.
Thank you for that, Mr. Matthews. I think it's very important that, we stay on top of our due diligence and our responsibilities during this time. So maybe it's just a way for you to put things in perspective for yourself on how to stay more organized and efficient, So thank you for that. So kind of just staying on that same topic as far as the global pandemic and some of the things it's brought about. One thing obviously is there's been a big light shown on the diversity initiative in the sports and entertainment industries and things of that nature. And actually I'd like to dive a little deeper into that. And this one's going to actually be just for the ladies. So sit tight for me, Mr. Matthews. We'll get with you in a second. But ladies, we graduated from, I said we, I'm not there yet, but you all have graduated from an HBCU. You're Black and you're also females. So what obstacles do you feel, if any, you have encountered as a Black woman in the industry, and how did you overcome them?
This is it's tough because admittedly, I haven't like experienced some just like crazy, like super, super racist or super, super sexist thing, but microaggressions, right? Like the off-colored jokes. When I have braids, like people won't recognize me, that kind of thing. But what I will say is I think, you know, I'll speak for myself, being in the position that I'm in, sometimes imposter syndrome creeps up, right? Like, this is a big job. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm Black. I'm a woman. I did not go to any Ivy League schools. Like, I come from a very humble background. But I think in all things that I do, I try to remind myself that if I wasn't supposed to be here, I would not be. And there's a reason that, you know, I went through rounds and rounds of interviews and got this job, or, you know, another job or another internship opportunity. Everything that I have, I earned. So that is one piece of it. And I think the second piece for me is showing up as a Black woman in everything that I do. I had a kind of strange internship experience a few years ago. And after that experience, I committed to myself that I will never work at a place where I don't feel included or valued or respected as a Black woman. If I have to come to work and somehow disguise the fact that I'm Black, which I don't know how I would do, but if I had to put myself in this shell and assimilate, I don't need to be there. I don't need to work there. So doing that and having that mindset has helped me not only have really cool jobs, but work with really cool people. I love the people that I work with at the ACLU. I love the people that I work here with at NASCAR. And a lot of people don't know this about NASCAR, but we have an extremely diverse legal department. I always tell people that my boss is a Black woman because I'm very proud of that. But we've had a very diverse legal department for over 20 years. So that's not, you know, publicly advertised because it's the legal department, but but I think, you know, for me moving forward in this industry, I have to go where I feel comfortable and included. And that unfortunately is not every single sports entertainment job, but I think we can start to create that, our generation can start to create that by, you know, fostering inclusiveness, making sure that we do talk about diversity and not just when it's time to, you know, hire somebody or there's some sort of PR problem, that we're always keeping that as a part of our conversation. So I think, you know, now that I'm on the attorney side of things, I feel a little bit more responsibility to make sure that our profession is diverse.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Williams, and we appreciate you for standing on the front line and being that advocate for the young ladies coming out of law school who want to pursue those type of industries as well. So thank you. Ms. Franklin?
So I'm going to speak from a firm perspective because I think that perspective is drastically different from an in-house perspective. Unfortunately, firm-wise, we're not very diverse. I think I mentioned earlier, we have over 5 offices that span across the United States, and I'm the only Black attorney out of all 5, male or female. So it is a different experience. I have not had any like crazy, you know, racist or sexist stories either. You know, I kind of let them know, I let my work speak for itself. But it is different. I feel like the experiences of Black women, period, in the legal profession are very unique to us. I know Jourdan touched on hair. That is a big thing because I wear my hair sometimes natural or I have it silk pressed when I cut it. So, you know, I've walked into work with my natural, it's a little fro, but my little fro. And I get the, did you do something different with your hair? And I'm just like, no, I just washed it. So, you know, that's something that we definitely deal with that's different. I love how Jourdan said that we have a responsibility because I 100% agree. I work very, very hard. And I had someone ask me, why do you go so hard? Like you always have your foot on the gas. And I'm like, I feel like it is my responsibility to create more opportunities and more seats for us at the table. And what I mean by us is I just mean people of color, period. That is a responsibility I feel like I have. That is something that, drives why I work the way I work and as hard as the way I do. I want to serve as an example of the fact that we can come from a small school like Southern and still be able to shake up a room. So yeah, I think it's different. We have to change the industry. The industry itself will not change. I want to say African Americans make up 5% of the legal population. Of that 5%, 2% are Black women. And that statistic has not changed in 20 years, despite how many of us keep graduating. So I think that says a lot, but that 5% of us, we have a responsibility for those aspiring attorneys coming after us. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Franklin. And as well, I appreciate you for being on the forefront for our young ladies who are aspiring to practice in those areas and fields. So this next question, we're going to start with Mr. Matthews, but then we'll just round it back out to Ms. Williams and then you, Ms. Franklin. But kind of alluding to what Ms. Williams spoke to earlier with imposter syndrome. And for anyone in the audience who isn't familiar with imposter syndrome, for lack of better terms, and to kind of put it into a synopsis, it's basically being in a room where you feel that you don't necessarily belong when you are more than capable from a credential standpoint to stand in that exact room. So I guess my question to you, Mr. Matthews, would be, is as a young attorney, being in some of these rooms with high-level execs, seasoned attorneys, it can be a little intimidating for some. What would you say to a young attorney and or law student who may have some doubt about if they belong despite their resume and credentials?
Because this happens all the time. They were in the same seat you were. They're no better than you. They're no smarter than you. They were the same person you are. They had to work within reason. They had to work, there's some privilege there, but they had to work just as hard as you did. There's no difference in, someone who's the executive vice president of something and someone who is the janitor. They're both human beings. They both have skills. They both provide a job or a service to a company, a product, or whatever to further the advancement of it. So don't let that intimidate you. You have value. You are smart. You are important. You will go out and kill the game. And don't let someone, just because they have a fancy title, dictate how you feel and make you feel small being in the room. Some people with fancy titles are dumb. Just going to go ahead and say it. They're not smart. So you're probably smarter than they are. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Matthews. Ms. Williams?
I agree with that. There are a lot of very superior, not so bright people. But I'd say just stay true to who you are. That is extremely important. I think working, because when you get in this space, you're going to meet all kind of people that are, trying to get your job, trying to throw you off. They're jealous. They're all kind of things for all kind of reasons. And half of them have nothing to do with you. But I think, stay true to yourself. Tell yourself self-confidence mantras. You can, it's really like cliche and cheesy, but it works. You can do it. You're going to be all right. It's going to work itself out. Those sorts of things. And then I heavily advocate for therapy. I think, that is something within our profession. I think the profession is trying to make it a little more normal to talk about. But I think, if you need somebody to complain to, pay a therapist. and that will actually help you figure out, you know, how you can think about it differently, how you can navigate differently. And that's what's helped me. So that was probably an unconventional answer, but that's,
No.
that's my answer.
No, not at all. I actually appreciate that answer very much so, and we'll get right with you, Miss Franklin, of course. But if you could kind of also in your answer speak to mental health and mental wellness, being a young attorney in such possibly or intimidating environment or work field, being that everyone or most people who are in that work environment don't necessarily look like you or things of that nature. So
I actually have a therapist that I see weekly. I'm not ashamed about it. I love her to death. She has helped me in a bunch of different facets. You know, going from solo to a large firm, that was a very huge transition that I was ready for, but not really ready for, because there is no like learning period. You get thrown in and it's like either you sink or swim. So there was a lot of self-doubt at the beginning, but I was like, hey, if you were able to do this, that, and the third while you were by yourself, this is no different. You're just now by yourself with people to lean on if you need them. So that I highly recommend therapy. I will say too, kind of touching on what Reginald said, if you are in the room with them, that means that you were just as qualified. And I tell myself that every single day. If I'm in the room, if I'm sitting next to them, there is no way that they can try to doubt or question my, you know, my knowledge level or what I know or, you know, my credentials, because I'm sitting right next to you. So if you're questioning mine, then what do yours look like? That's just a little cocky, but, you know, I kind of had to bring that mindset into the environment too. I'm also the youngest person at the firm, age-wise. I, you know, kind of as a joke, they love to say I'm the same age as the interns or our clerks. And I'm like, that's fine. Answer that email that I sent you. We got business to do. Age means nothing, as you can see, because you're asking me to send, you know, to sit in on your meetings now for IP work. So the confidence, I think, takes a minute, but I say if you're sitting there, you have it. I'm also very, very grounded in my faith, and I believe that if God has placed me in that room, it is because He's blessed it before I got in there. So I have absolutely no reason to not be confident because He already ordained this thing, and I'm just walking in the purpose that He set out for me. So I literally say that to myself every single day. And it, you know, when you have Godfidence, I mean, what else do you need? So
thank you for that, Miss Franklin. And actually, you might want to come right back off mute because I actually want to kind of dig a little deeper into what you just said. Mr. Matthews, you could follow up, and then you as well, Miss Williams. But you kind of spoke about how, you know, people at the firm may make a joke about this, about that, but, you know, you're kind of right back slapping them with the, okay, but you better answer that email, or, you know, basically just letting them know that you're still, you know, all about business. So here at SULC, which I know you all are familiar with, but maybe not everybody in our audience, we have a saying that goes on around here called seriousness of purpose. And we're drilled. That's drilled throughout our matriculation, throughout our law school career here at Southern University Law Center. Seriousness of purpose. So my question to you all is: what does seriousness of purpose mean to you, and how have you exuded that throughout your career?
I think. First of all, I think it's perfect. Like when you said they drill it in our heads, like that is 100% true. I'm seriousness of purpose from 9 to 5. If we hit a work happy hour, then you may see a laid back version of me. But I kind of always had a chip on my shoulder, you know, and I think that's something that we get going to Southern because we always have to prove why we are just as capable. So it's like that same kind of mentality I brought into the work atmosphere. I also feel like my clients are working with me, or have hired me specifically to get things done. You know, we can kiki and laugh another day, but right now there's work that needs to be done. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. You know, I believe in letting my work speak for itself. So I can't do that if I'm, you know, horse playing, I guess you can say. And then because I am younger, I feel like I don't have, within my firm setting, I don't have the ability to kind of be a little lackadaisical, because then it may come off as though I'm not serious. So it's a fine line. You got to kind of figure out like where you fit. Like outside of work, they're like, "Oh man, you're so fun," and I'm like, "Thanks."
You don't want to be the prick around, you know, but at the same time, you don't want to be the loose one, right?
Right. When it's work time, it's work time, and it kind of goes back to, you know, being the only Black woman in the entire organization. I don't think I have that leeway right now. Maybe if I make partner, if I stick around that long, then, you know, that may be a different conversation. But right now, I feel like you have to wear that lawyer hat, and be very serious and very, you know, direct in everything that you do, until you can kind of take a layer off. But yeah, I don't know if I even really answered your question right.
You did. That was actually a profound answer, and I thank you for that, Ms. Franklin. Mr. Matthews?
Seriousness of Purpose. Like I said, it's written on the wall there. Seriousness of Purpose was easy for me working for Calendly, because Calendly exudes that every day. We understand what our product does and what our product means to our clients. And we have to be serious about the work that we put into it and behind it, and very intentional. And I'll use Jourdan Franklin as an example. She talked about calendaring. If we mess up or we don't do something properly, Jourdan's entire schedule for the next 6 months is messed up. I'm messing with her money. That's something you don't want to do. So Calendly and me personally, you know, just being on top of your game all the time, putting your best foot forward. You can let your hair down when the work is done. You know, you hear the saying, work hard, play harder. That's very true. Get your work done. Be at the top of your game, put your best foot forward, and then go out and have a drink.
Great answer, Mr. Matthews. Thank you, and we appreciate you for that. Finally, Ms. Williams.
Yeah, this phrase, seriousness of purpose, like it's ingrained, like you said, it's tattooed on my brain. But for me, how I've used that in my career. So very, very short side story. The lady on the panel before this one, Jennifer Duval, is one of my mentors, and I talk to her all the time. And I actually met her when she was a production lawyer at BET, and now I'm essentially a production lawyer at NASCAR. And advice that she gave me literally 4 years ago when I was a law student and wasn't worrying about this, I apply today. And that's that, you know, I'm a laugh and joke and play with you, whatever. But nobody is like seeing when I go home and study contracts, literally a binder of contracts I have, and I've tabbed them and color coded them, and I have my notes, and anything anyone says in a meeting about one of these provisions, I write that down. I know these contracts like the back of my hand. That to me is seriousness of purpose. I feel like, you know, on top of just being good at your job, you have to know your industry. So if you want to, like she said in the last panel, if you want to be in sports and entertainment, what deal just broke? You know, who got fired today from their coaching job or whatever? Do you really know the industry that you say you want to be in? Because I do it on a regular basis. I'm always on Twitter looking at THRS or Deadline or Variety or Sports Business Journal. I look at those websites every single day. Because even if it's not motorsports, I want to know what's going on in the NBA, NFL, tennis, golf, whatever. And I think, you know, a lot of people overlook that. But when you go interview for these jobs, they want to know that you're not just looking for a job, that you're passionate about what it is you say you want to do. And I think one way of showing that is to always have knowledge about what's going on in the industry. I know earlier we talked about the pandemic. we, you know, at NASCAR, obviously we have our own thing going, but we're looking at what the NFL is doing and what the NBA is doing as they're navigating their own, you know, pandemic response. So I think, especially at the time that we're in, the new graduates, the 2020, 2021 graduates, you know, it's going to be a different legal world for you, but it would behoove you to start to look at all the new things coming out of this response, whatever area you're in, not just sports entertainment, but insurance or real estate or personal injury. Whatever area you're in, just really focus on learning, you know, the happenings in that area.
I was going to ask Jourdan, are you still following Deadline Hollywood like Jennifer told us to?
Oh yeah, no, from the day.
Yep.
So Jennifer is also Reginald Matthews.
Yeah, where she's also
Jennifer has a whole lot of mentees around the world. And we all love her. But yes, from the very day Jennifer said you need to be following Deadline, I've gotten every single Deadline alert from 2016. And they come all day. But that's how I know what's going on at all times. Nothing's gonna miss me.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for that, Miss Williams. I could ask you guys questions all day, no lie. I'm soaking up so much. I'm just like a sponge sitting over here. But unfortunately, we're all on time constraints. I do want to ask one question before we open it up to our audience. And that question is going to be, we can start with you, Miss Franklin, and then just go in a circle as well. As far as Miss Williams, she just mentioned about how she's scouring Twitter and these different apps to find out what's going on in the industries and things of that nature. How important is the use of technology, social media, and things of that nature in either branding yourself, your business, or, you know, as being a tool to use to help further propel your business?
Oh, it's super important. I know if you're a 1L, or especially if you're past the 1L, you should have learned about shepherdizing your cases. So this is basically shepherdizing your industry. That's kind of how I look at it. You're constantly staying abreast to what's going on, what's changed, what hasn't changed. And it looks good if you can articulate or break down something in your, you know, prospective industry that a layperson may not understand. So for me, for example, it seems like lately there's been like a burst of IP related issues in like popular culture. So what I do on my platform is I'll like take those concepts and kind of explain, okay, well, this is what this means, and this is why this is happening. This is what's going on. I did it when Megan Thee Stallion was having her contract issue with her label. I did it when LeBron James was trying to trademark Taco Tuesday. I did it when Megan Thee Stallion was trying to trademark Hot Girl Summer. A lot of people don't know what any of these legal concepts mean. So if you're able to take these concepts that they're aware of, break it down, make it digestible, now you're going to have people kind of start coming to you. You know, I got a lot of clients that way. I think I did an analysis on the Hot Girl Summer issue on Twitter, and Tika Sumter saw it. Now she's one of my clients. So like it's so beneficial. But had I not been aware of what's going on, then I could have potentially lost out on that networking opportunity and then meeting that client. So like, yeah, if you can get alerts like Jourdan and Reginald were talking about, if you can get those alerts for those types of pages, for those who are interested in fashion law, The Fashion Law is a great blog. I read them all day, every day, like a newspaper in the morning. That's a good one. There's another one called IP, like intellectual property, IP Watchdog, and they talk about everything IP based. I'm trying to think. Those are like some of the big ones. WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. They're great as far as like those who are interested in like IP and stuff like that. Beazla. These are all like places that have like newsletters or organizations that have newsletters that can kind of keep you abreast to what's going on.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Franklin. Mr. Matthews?
I'm going to talk about the flip side of kind of what Jourdan said and Jourdan Franklin. And I think that Jourdan, personally watching her Instagram, she's done a great job marketing herself, branding herself. I read the stuff that she posts or watch the videos that she posts all the time because she's a great wealth of knowledge, but also understand that her Instagram is an extension of her brand, and it's what she represents. And what I've been running into a lot with a lot of students is posting pictures of them partying and drinking and doing drugs and going out and all these different things. And I want students to understand that your Instagram is sometimes, probably 95% of the time, the first impression someone has of you. People love to say, oh, your Instagram, your social media life is different from who you actually are. And yes, that is true in some circumstances, but if the first impression of you is, oh, he went to Miami and he's at Live nightclub and he parties all the time, you could miss out on a client. You could miss out on a connection. You could miss out on an opportunity based off of what you put out there. So be very conscious of what you put on social media. Brand yourself accordingly and effectively. And just be smart, because once you click post, it's out there forever.
Appreciate that response, Mr. Matthews. And I do wholeheartedly agree with you that we definitely need to be cognizant of the things we post and the things we put out there, and knowing that whatever we do put out there will ultimately be an extension of us. No matter your personal viewpoint of it, people will form their own. So I think it's important that we stay cognizant of that. Ms. Williams?
So I do want to talk about what Reginald just said about social media presence, and I 1000% agree. It is very important. Jourdan Franklin has an amazing Twitter account. She's always dropping gems and knowledge, so definitely follow her. But I will say for me, and if I'm not answering the question, please tell me. But I will say for me, I like to represent myself as a person first. I don't personally think like, oh, I'm a lawyer, and my Instagram, my Twitter, and everything is just gonna be like a lawyer. I like to be a little bit more personable, but still tasteful, because I do know that, you know, they're different. There's a spectrum, right? People just have a different appetite for what they're gonna post. But I do 1000% agree that if you're like doing drugs and rolling trees and don't put that on the internet, especially if you are also going to be using your Instagram account to get clients. I feel like that needs to be said because I've seen it happen with current law students, and I'm like, what is going on over here? But in terms of personal branding in other ways, your reputation is your brand, where even if you're not online, wherever you go. So it's always important, whether you're, you know, at a bar association event or whatever, you meet new people, someone introduces you to new people, to always put your best foot forward, and represent yourself in the best light. And I know that's very cliche advice that we all should know, but I think it doesn't hurt to repeat some cliches sometimes.
Definitely a little positive reinforcement.
Did that answer the question? I hope.
Oh, you did, definitely.
Okay.
You did. Thank you for that, Ms. Williams. And I see you guys have been, both of Ms. Jordans have been very active in the Q&A and answering and getting back with our participants. So I want to thank you guys for that. However, Mr. Matthews, I do have a specific question for you from Mr. Michael Benz. Mr. Matthews, you work at one of the fastest rising tech startups in the world, but you mentioned that it was a hard road to get there. How do you stay motivated to get where you are now?
I'm going to preface this statement with this. So the person that wrote this is a mentor of mine, and he is one of the reasons why I stayed motivated, because he motivated me and encouraged me to keep going when I didn't want to. Coming out of law school, I'll say that I wanted the big firm job. I wanted the clerkships and all these other things that, you know, everyone says is great, or a resume builder, and none of them came. And I'm not afraid to say this either. I didn't pass the bar the first time. So I'm sitting, September, October-ish in Atlanta, no job, trying to figure it out. And it's people like Michael Benz that, you know, took time out of their busy schedules to have talk with me and to help connect me to people to find a job and give me words of encouragement, send me funny memes when, you know, he knows I'm sitting at home not working this week because a doc review project fell through. And from an umbrella standpoint, find your tribe. I use that term all the time. Find your tribe, find your friends, find your mentors, find people to talk to that are there to motivate you and to continue to push you forward and encourage you. I have my group of Morehouse brothers who we're in a group chat. We're all in law or politics in some facet, and we continue to motivate each other. Sometimes it's unhealthy motivation because we try to one-up each other, but it's motivation nonetheless. So, Michael, thank you for that question. Shout out to you for being a motivator in my life, trying to get my life together last year. Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you guys so much for that. I can't thank you enough for all the information and things that you guys brought here today on this platform. But before we do close out, I want to give you guys an opportunity if you have any closing words, wisdom, knowledge that you would like to impart on our participants, starting with Ms. Williams, then Ms. Franklin, and then you, Mr. Matthews.
I feel like I could definitely go all day because I think this is a great conversation. But I do want to say, because I am an alum of the Law Center, to the current students specifically and recent graduates of the Law Center who may not be where they want to be right now, hopefully that is not because you went to the Law Center. I feel like we've kind of touched on this earlier, but a lot of people do, perceive the school in a certain way, or may not want someone who didn't go to Ivy League or, some top 10 law school. That's a bunch of BS. Because as you can see from the people on this panel, from other alumni, if you look on Google at Southern Alumni, we out here doing amazing things. Okay, we got people at Amazon, at Google, at NASCAR, at the NFL. Like, we are all over the place. So don't let that discourage you. People are going to say all kind of crazy things, and we know half of it isn't true, like I said before. But don't let it discourage you. When I, lose motivation, or even when I was studying for the bar, applying for jobs, losing motivation, I would literally go look at who graduated from the Law Center and see whose presence you're in this wonderful family that we're all a part of. So that's one thing. And then secondly, because we are in a pandemic and everything is virtual, I really hope that everyone is taking advantage of this moment. I think there are going to be a lot of high expectations for people graduating or about to graduate at this time, because you all have so many more privileges that we didn't have. I talked about before, I felt like I needed to move to all these different cities to get this job. You can sit in your living room and apply for virtual positions all over the world right now. So use that to your advantage. Don't let this moment slip through your fingers, because we don't know what 2021 or 2022 is going to look like. But I think if you can get on somewhere right now virtually, you definitely should.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Williams. Ms. Franklin?
I think, so I like to use analogies or metaphors. I think being that this is an entertainment and sports symposium, I'll use a sports one. So when I remember having a conversation with my dad when things weren't going exactly how I wanted them to go. I did not pass the bar the first time either. And I'm definitely super hard on myself. So, I kind of definitely took that as a shot to my confidence. My dad is a former football player. So one thing that we spoke about is what happens to a running back. So for those that watch football, a running back gets handed the ball and he runs into the defensive lineman and sometimes even his own offensive lineman. So he doesn't just stop and walk off. He keeps his feet moving to gain extra yardage. So I use that to say is when you feel like you're hitting a wall or you're hitting something or you're in a place to where you're not quite satisfied, keep your head down and keep your feet moving and you'll get to where you need to go. So that's all I wanted to say.
Wise words. Really appreciate that, Ms. Franklin. Mr. Matthews, I don't know if you could top that now, bro, but we'll try.
I'm going to give my piece, and I'm going to do a small story before. When I was interviewing, coming out of law school at big firms, I'm not going to name them. One partner of a firm said to me, how did you get here? You don't fit the criteria or the credential of who we hire at this law firm. And ironically, that partner reports to my boss and me at Calendly, at least outside counsel. So don't let anyone discourage your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you can't do anything. Don't let anyone diminish your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you you're not good enough or you don't fit the caliber of who we hire at this firm, because down the line, that firm could be working for you.
Most definitely, most definitely, and we appreciate those words, Mr. Matthews. And I think it's just imperative that we all know that, you know, a rejection once doesn't mean that you're not the right person for the job. It just may be that you're not the right person for that job, or that job wasn't the right job for you. So I think a shift in perspective and always keeping things in perspective is really important and critical in this journey that we all taking after law school and becoming professionals and attorneys in the field. So thank you all for that. So I want to first give a virtual round of applause for our panelists. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for taking out the time of your busy schedules and being here with us today. I've learned so much. Once again, like I said, I've just been sitting here being a sponge, soaking everything up, and know that moving forward, I will be better from this. So thank you for that. On behalf of our Southern University Law School family, we want to wish you all nothing but continued success and to continue being the ambitious and inspirational lawyer leaders that you are. I want to thank SULC, Professor Dickerson, Destiny Rogers, Mr. Matthews, Torrance Burnett, and everyone who had hands in putting together such a fantastic event. I enjoyed it. I've learned so much. I hope you have as well. And I want you guys to continue to be safe, and we will reconvene on tomorrow, 9 a.m. Thanks, guys. See y'all later.